Spirituality is a treasure, but there are also dangers along the way. What exactly is spirituality? Many see the dark side of the church and religions, but few realize that religion and spirituality are not the same. Often they do not realize what a great treasure lies within, a radiant gem that lies dormant in every human being, the deep longing for fulfillment that is waiting to be satisfied. Religion is not just one, there are many. Spirituality is one, we all form a unity in diversity. Spirituality is not a consolation, a means to power, a business model, or a means to keep others small. Spirituality wants to make people great and lead them to their true essence. Religion talks about sin and guilt. Spirituality wants to take away people's fear and guilt. It wants to lead them to themselves. Spirituality is for those who have awakened, who discover the Creator in themselves and in everything. It is for those who pay attention to their inner voice. Spirituality calls us to question everything. It gives inner peace. Spirituality says, learn from your mistakes. It overcomes everything. It brings us closer to the truth. Spirituality is everything and therefore it is in God. It is a constant state of being open and finding. Spirituality is masculine and feminine in equal measure, and beyond gender. It is divine, recognizes the laws of the cosmos and lives them. Spirituality connects. It nourishes trust and faith. Spirituality lives in inner consciousness, not so much in thoughts or ideologies. It has something to do with the inner self. Spirituality forces you to go beyond the ego. It lets us live in God without giving up our existing life. Spirituality is an inner meditation. It lets us live in earthly glory and in paradise already. Spirituality means living in the present. It frees our consciousness. Spirituality makes us aware of eternal life. It means finding God everywhere in our present life and beyond, in death and after. The Spiritual Journey and Its Dangers, an essay. A story that also draws on many of my own experiences. In my youth, I sometimes felt an inexplicable sadness. In search of answers, I began to consciously examine my biography. I wrote down a lot, went through inner processing and cleansing processes. By facing my emotions, allowing myself to grieve and going through the grief, a kind of inner cleansing took place, like a shower that gently washed away the dirt of the past. With the sadness, the burden that it had left in me also disappeared. Many people go down this healing path with professional support. Tears are the flowing language of the soul. They carry the pain away and create space for new things. Forgiveness is the precious gem that heals relationships and allows the past to rest in peace. In my younger years, I threw myself into life, taking in everything possible. There was always something going on, and parties where alcohol flowed freely offered only brief distraction. Even intense relationships in which I had high hopes ultimately burst like a soap bubble. But the inner longing for fulfillment was not satisfied. What remains? What is it all about? What is the meaning of my existence? I realized that there is more between heaven and earth than materialism and science can explain. The world of esotericism opened up fascinating perspectives for me. Some of it actually worked, some of it was pure illusion. Light and shadow lay close together. There were wise masters, but also those who were more interested in their ego and money than in the well-being of people. The decisive factor here is your inner attitude. Did I want to gain power or really listen to my Creator in my heart to find the right path? There were fascinating phenomena, regressions into past lives, out-of-body experiences and spiritual experiences that far exceeded reality. But did I have to try everything? Was I aware that there are also dark forces that initially present themselves as light in order to dominate later? Drugs opened doors that could not always be closed. The spirits you summoned could not be easily expelled. At this point, I realized that I would not enter such realms without Jesus. Without his guidance, I didn't know where I was really going. I attended numerous conferences and seminars on spirituality and heard great masters speak. Some asked for large sums of money, and for a while I felt good. But after a while, my batteries were empty again. Others preached positive thinking incessantly, but what if my anger at injustice enabled me to bring about real change in the world? All is light and love, but if I blocked out the dark topics, I prevented transformation and development inside and out. That played into the hands of the powerful. I consumed spiritual literature and content excessively, but I also noticed a certain greed for more knowledge, more enlightenment, a spiritual insatiability. And when it became uncomfortable, when it was time for change, I simply changed teachers. Again and again. But at some point I realized that it is not enough to jump from seminar to seminar, from master to master, without changing my own life. Regular exercise and challenges were my daily bread. It felt good to be strong and fit. After my religious awakening, this realization completely filled me up, leaving no room for sports and other activities. After all, I had found something higher. Later I realized that higher levels of development can certainly integrate the previous ones. They are justified, not bad in themselves, just one step on the ladder of development. But now they are enriched by the spiritual horizon and the heart. By living and loving the sport, living healthy and well, eating well, loving and appreciating my body given by the Creator, I become strong to continue the plan of creation and to bring about change. I got to know religious communities. I saw that many of these people radiated great joy, peace and contentment. It was as if they had arrived. Something in him gave them a great radiance. That is what I was looking for. I decided to consciously follow the spiritual path, chose the path of faith, and suddenly I felt this light within myself. I sensed that something in me was changing, but I couldn't describe what. That was my personal miracle and my proof of God. But soon I was living only in this bubble, convinced that we were the enlightened ones, and that everyone else was on the wrong path. This spiritual hubris was nourished by the constant mutual reinforcement of our own convictions. I realized how easily one-sided worldviews could develop in group isolation. Of course, my partner now also had to come from the community. But was that really necessary? I now know that a relationship can be fulfilling even if both have different spiritual approaches, as long as there is common ground. I lived in a spiritual bubble and became increasingly intransigent towards those who thought differently, escaping the world instead of shaping it. I realized that too much community can be dangerous and began to open up. Full of enthusiasm, I wanted to share my insights with everyone, but not everyone was ready for it. Some people are only open to change at certain moments in their lives, at their crossroads. I had to learn this humility. The craving for alcohol had disappeared. I stopped idolizing a particular partner. But a new temptation took its place. I fell in love with Jesus, so much so that nothing else mattered anymore. A radiance shone from my eyes, my heart was filled with deep joy, great serenity accompanied my life. Falling in love with the teacher, what is that? Wasn't it more important for Jesus and all the masters that we recognize his message and try to love and live like him? That doesn't exclude a great appreciation for Jesus. After all, he gave us Christ consciousness. Praise songs, quiet time, prayers, and icons helped us connect with the divine, the higher self, and Jesus. But spiritual egoism was also well served. I was saved, I was enlightened, we were all enlightened, and the others. It was their own fault if they didn't find Jesus. But is that the perspective of a loving Creator who loves all his children? Could it be called spiritual hubris? Not everyone can find the Creator, Jesus, all the time. It is a gift and a grace. But everyone can find and live the divine messages in their hearts. And many do. I suppressed my shadow sides, because I had Jesus. But that didn't change the fact that they were there. If I wanted to strive for true perfection, as Jesus taught, be perfect, then I had to look at my shadows, go into the pain, work on myself. But even this work could become a trap. Self-optimization without joy only leads to compulsion and rigidity. Today I am at a different point on my spiritual journey. My path is far from over, but I have understood a lot and, even more, internalized it. I am no longer the person I once was. And I know, true spirituality does not happen in isolation, not through dogmas or teachers, but in the lived life, in compassion, in truth, in an open heart. You don't stay at the gas station. A ship in the harbor is safe. But that's not what ships are built for. James said, "Faith without works is dead." And further on he says, "By their works you shall know them." These words contained a deep truth that I increasingly understood. Because faith without action remains ineffective, without it there is no development, just as there is none in pure selfishness or spiritual egoism. When I opened up, from me to you, from me to we, my world became bigger. My horizon broadened, my strength grew, my resilience increased, and life began to shine in bright colors. Time for TV? Wrong. It is about the inner path, listening to your heart. For personal responsibility. And for a spirituality that did not just exist in books or seminars, but in lived life. The true principles of spirituality were now. Taking personal responsibility. No master can walk the path for me. Listening to the heart. The true voice of wisdom comes from within. Don't make the driving instructor your life companion. A teacher shows the way, but he must not be a crutch. Accept yourself, but don't stagnate. Growth is not a compulsion, but a natural unfolding. Live every aspect of life consciously. Not only rituals are sacred. It is all of life. Look at what triggers me instead of repressing it. The shadow shows me the way to the light. Change the world with truthfulness. True spirituality is not theory, but love in action. Be community-oriented. Development happens in togetherness. The new world is without money. A life of giving and trust is possible. Live true immersion and devotion. Depth instead of superficiality. I am no longer the same as I once was. The path does not end. I remain an open seeker. I sensed my soul's plan and let myself be carried away by the river of life, driven by strong waves, always listening to my inner voice. I now always let myself be challenged. I remain open to change and new insights. I remain alert and alive. And I am grateful for this journey, which is not yet at an end. Today I am a mystic. I listen to the voice of my heart and try to achieve harmony at all levels.